All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with more reactions. Today, we got more My Hero Academia. So let's go and get the formalities out of the way, shall we? Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another My Hero Academia chapter reaction and review. I know, I got a busy day today. I still got plenty of chapters to go through after I'm done with this one. Last we left out on My Hero was a magnificent chapter that just showcased why All Might is one of the greatest characters in the entire My Hero Academia series. So let's go ahead and see where things are in chapter 397. Trash Cleanup, as All Might continues his assault against All for One.
I have to say, this feels wrong. Here I am past the age of 50, beating the tar out of a helpless lad. You harbor a ferocious rage in you that hungers for one for all. That's what I'm exploiting, and it's the only reason this fight is even possible. The fate that binds the two of us! Any real demon lord would be aghast, getting whooped by a quirkless man. I mean, really! I'll keep you in this obsessive delirium, so you won't be able to tear your eyes away from me.
But while All for One is getting punched, he starts to gather up a massive amount of power in his hand.
Springify, Brawn Boost, Air Cannon, Rivet Stab, Dark Ball, Impure Beam.
And combining these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different quirks together, he unleashes a titanic explosive attack that eradicates a gigantic portion of the city that they're fighting in. But All Might gets thrown into a building and he's fine! Oh my goodness!
What a mishmash of a combo. Utility Cape, Auto Guard, Dark Shadow.
Look, oh my goodness, All Might with this adaptable, configurable suit of armor he has on, and it's taking all of the abilities that his students had in Class 1A, and it incorporates it into his suit so that it works.
Utility Cape, Auto Guard, Dark Shadow. It's proof that I'm pushing his buttons just right. Keep talking, Toshinori. Keep him riled up.
Cape destroyed. Communicated fractures in clavicle and left humerus.
Yo, he broke some bones. Bones are broken. Bones are broken. Fractures in his clavicle and left humerus. Already.
Set movement assist to max.
And then the suit configures itself.
This allows you to fight, you said. You're sorely mistaken. You pathetic, washed-up piece of garbage.
As it shows All for One, and he's just floating in front of All Might, but his body is just bursting, literally bursting with different types of quirks emanating from his body, like some sort of eldritch being.
So you're wearing a trash bag and have lost all perspective. Well, your gadgets are gone once I break them, because those toys can't go beyond their own limits. Gotta be sure not to rely on them too much. In my time, I've seen far too many heroes who couldn't wield their powers after losing their items. Great minds think alike, pal of mine.
And then it shows a memory with Nana Shimura speaking to All Might. Speaking to All Might in the past, as she's making several people float. Well, no, are they floating or are they no, they're on the ground. She's floating over some of them.
Really, kid? What's that pipe gonna lead you to? Was that pipe gonna lead you to victory?
As I guess I think this is the first time that All Might in the past met Nana Shimura. Yeah, I think this is the first time that All Might first met Nana Shimura. After she beat up a whole bunch of people. They're just littered all over this landscape, and she's just floating above them. And then All Might launches at All for One and punches him in the head, but it doesn't do anything. No, obviously I didn't fall for your cheap ploy to stall me. I can easily spare the time to clean up trash by the roadside. And then it shows all for one causing this explosion to emanate from his entire body, blasting back All Might.
Desperate to play it cool, huh? How undignified!
And that's the end of the chapter. I went through that very quickly. It's not a long chapter. It's not a long chapter, but I went through everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're already at the end. So even though All Might is definitely putting up a good fight against All for One, but All for One makes it seem like, oh, I know you're trying to stall me. I'm not bothered by it. And he sees All Might as just basically trash. Even though All for One's body is literally coming apart at the seams right now because his own quirks are sticking out of his body. Like I'm going back here where he calls him, you pathetic, washed up piece of garbage. All for One is just floating above All Might, and all these different types of quirks, like, they're just sticking out of his body all over. It's just going through his body and just sticking out of it. That's how it is. So, but he still has the mindset to try and berate him. Yeah, this is definitely short. Should be able to get through Jujutsu, and then lastly Dragon Ball Super, and then later on I'll be able to do that Black Myth Wukong video, Wukong stream. So yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out. But still, I actually enjoyed this chapter a lot, simply because All Might has not lost his own composure, despite the fact that All for One is using so many of his abilities. He uses one ability, and here's the thing I've noticed. Him, All for One, using this Springify, plus Brawn Boost, plus Air Cannon, plus Rivet Stab, plus Dark Ball, plus Impure Beam, I think that pushed his body even further. Because from the explosion, you see all these quirks mixed together, and the resulting explosion from him doing this attack. It also looks like the attack blows up a ginormous part of the city. I thought that was a mountain in the background, but he just blows up a ginormous part of the city. But I feel like him using these 6 quirks without inhibition has caused his body to no longer be able to hold these quirks inside. Because beforehand, when All Might was fighting him, he didn't have all these quirks just sticking up out of his body. But now he's floating above. Wait, actually, you know what? I don't think it's the quirks that's sticking out of his body. I think it's all the wires that he used to embed. I thought it was just his quirk sticking outside of his body. But it's really the wires that he used from his Black Whip combo to embed into All for One. That's just sticking out of his body now. They're all just on his body, but they're just floating around him. I was confused at first, but then I realized that those wires that All Might stuck into him were still in his body. They're still in his body. So it's not his quirks and he's overusing it that caused that to happen. Those are still the wires sticking through his body all over, and it's just floating all around him. That's what makes him look like an eldritch creature. I had to correct that before someone else did. And even though All for One is regressing, he still has time to try and berate All Might. This allows you to fight, you said? You're sorely mistaken. You pathetic, washed-up piece of garbage. He's the one to talk because his body's regressing to the point where it will disappear from existence. And he's lost control of being able to control his quirks to that of his, older self. So he's kind of washed up too. The only difference is, he uses his quirks with reckless abandon now, with just overwhelming force. He doesn't think things through, so he's no longer the methodical, megalomaniacal villain who had everything fully planned out. He no longer thinks with that mindset. He's regressed. He's become slightly washed up, where it's just like brute force everything. No more thinking, just power, and that's it. So he's kind of in a similar situation, but I wouldn't call him washed up. But he's not at the top of his game, though. So you're wearing a trash bag and have lost all perspective. Well, your gadgets are gone once I break them, because those toys can't go beyond their own limits. And then All Might continues to just poke fun of him, going, great minds think alike, pal of mine. And then he just thinks back to his time when he first met Nana Shimura, when he was going to use a pipe to fight, but, I mean, it wouldn't have mattered much. And he proceeds to punch All For One in the head, which really doesn't do anything, because All For One doesn't even show a sign of a bruise on his forehead, as he just lets All Might hit him. No, obviously I didn't fall for your cheap ploy to stall me. I can easily spare the time to clean up trash by the roadside. Basically saying he can spend time here with All Might if he wants to, and still be able to get to where Shigaraki is. That's how cocky he is. We'll see, though. I mean, even though it shows All For One getting blasted back by this omnidirectional attack, with All Might screaming, desperate to play it cool, huh? How undignified. Where All Might is the trash talking, is the one trash talking, and it's All For One getting mad by this. Exactly. Yeah, the roles have indeed swapped from their last fight, because the whole time All For One was the one saying like, well, aren't you gonna save them? Or like, first I'll get rid of your pathetic public image. And saying like, well, you're not going anywhere. You're not going to rescue anyone because I am here. Now the tables have turned and All Might is the one doing all the smack talking. I think it was long overdue, because All Might was the one who was trying to keep his composure and just defeat All For One. And All For One was the one chiding him and making fun of him. Now All Might is doing the same to him. And of course, it's really getting under his skin. Mind you, All For One is clearly saying, like, this doesn't bother me at all, and you're not going to stall me. Well, he doesn't say this doesn't bother me at all. He's saying, like, I know about your ploy to try and stall me. Yet at the same time, he's still getting affected emotionally by staying focused on All Might, because he thinks he has an easy win. He thinks just because All Might no longer has a quirk, and he's just relying on these gadgets that are definitely allowing him to survive, even though he's suffered fractures in his clavicle and left humerus, he's still able to go up against All For One right now. So it remains to be seen where we are going to go to from here. Because unlike One Piece, My Hero is not on break next week. So we got another chapter next week, so I'm really looking forward to that one. All in all, I thought this was a good chapter. But we're going to have to see where things go after All Might is getting blasted back, because that's where the chapter ends, him getting blasted backwards from All For One. Hopefully this doesn't put All Might in a situation where All For One just flies away. But I feel like All For One is going to try and stay there in order to take out All Might, because that's the last thorn in his side. And that's how All Might got his career-ending injury, with All For One trash-talking, and All Might got mad and let his guard down. I loved it. I'm loving this fight so far. I'm loving it too, because you're seeing the juxtapositions from characters we've seen before in the past. Their last encounter, it was kind of even a little bit. Here, even though All Might is quirkless, and he's no longer able to, use One For All anymore, not even the last vestige of it, he's still putting up a fight against All For One that hasn't pushed them both to the edge, but All Might is still keeping up. He's still keeping up, despite the fact that a lot of time has passed, and he no longer has a quirk. And yet he's still keeping up with an individual whose body is not only regressing, but his powers are becoming far more destructive due to his lack of control. That is something. A quirkless individual is actually standing up to All For One. And it's the symbol of peace. This is yet another great All Might chapter, and I'm happy that we got it. But let me not keep you here any longer than I already have. I still got Jujutsu and Dragon Ball Super, and then later reacting to Black Myth Wukong's newest video, that IGN showcase. So, I enjoyed this chapter. Hope you all did as well. We are not going on break, so look forward to the next chapter next week. All I can say to everyone here, right now, is hope y'all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you enjoyed what you saw here, then please, if you haven't already, because it helps the channel and is completely free, like, subscribe, and share this stream with everyone you know, because the more the merrier. And because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples, on to Jujutsu.